that Andrew brought you. Second of all, he tells you about all these dead dictators, for example, Kim Jong-il. Like, they think that this cult idea still exists because his son is in power. Like, in a dynastic field, like, the next dictator is probably going to be in power, they're probably going to propagate it. The first dictator was great. Like, we think that in this case, we just assassinate the next person in line. That's completely legitimate under our model. Like, they just filled the shoes of this cult, like, they propagate it further, we just kill all of them. Fine. Like, Nick also wants to talk to you about succession. Like, we think that, like, it's grand that we assassinate the new ones, first of all, I just told you that, and also, like, we talked about rigging elections, right? First of all, this probably won't happen at the point where the person who would rig the elections is taken out of the equation. But second of all, we're not just going to leave, right, as a Western liberal democracy. We're probably going to be around to help these people to establish their own democracy and to make sure that the elections aren't rigged and are properly policed. Like, he also said things about, like, this leading to civil war. That's probably not the case because the people are united against the dictator. We see that these people are united on a common front towards democracy, and he wanted to support imperialism. We think, on side proposition, that it's actively hypocritical for us not to support democratic movements, and I'm going to tell you why. 2 points of clash. Okay, first of all, is it going to help the countries that we're going into? And second of all, will it help the impressions of Western liberal democracy? So, like, it was brought up in a POI. It's like, so, like, will these new democratic institutions represent the politics of these people? Right, first proposition tells you that, like, dictators are illegal, and that they're illogical, and that they're self-interested. But what Andrew specifically tells you is that democracy is not just about this. Democracy is about the people, and it's about good policy decisions being made. First of all, people aren't going to be harmed more under this, because it stops the oppression that they're going under, it stops famine, it stops death. Anyway, even if democracy is not established, this is probably going to lead to good things, right? Second of all, like, democracy brings, like, better representation to those people. They're probably going to be better off if they can be represented in any way in their country at all. Like, thirdly, when you bring this representation, you bring out more education, you bring about more rational discourse. It's going to bring better policies for everybody in that country in general. Like, then they want to talk about power vacuums. First, I'll tell you that this is like people are already uprising, that people already want this, is already happens. Andrew specifically tells you that where there's no education and there's loads of censorship, that these things are hugely damaging, and this is especially propagated under dictatorial regimes, right? These people can't rise up due to strong military pressure or from fear keeping them down. At this point, we say that they have not meaningfully consented into being under that dictatorship, and that dictatorship should be removed. So is this going to help Western liberal democracies, right? They talked about, like, oh, we're descending to a level and we should offer them a fair trial. First, I'll tell you that, like, Western liberal democracy prides itself on giving morals for everyone. We think that democracy necessarily brings about these morals in these specific cases. What Andrew then tells you is why it specifically justifies in case of dictators to assassinate them. Right. So first of all, there's this cult of personality that exists with this dictator. People either hate them, so they're fully against this dictator, so that's what we probably think is due enough. Like, a whole population hating one person is probably a good enough, check and balance as to whether we should remove them. Like, there's going to be huge international support for this, or like a massive international outcry if we assassinate the wrong person at the wrong time, at the point where it decimates the whole people. But even if they do like this dictator, and this is what we brought you, even if they like it, this is not a meaningful position to be in, right? Because there's all this hype around them, there's this cult. But if you kill this person, you kill off that cult necessarily. Why does this happen? We brought you, I like to bring you the example of Aung San Suu Kyi, right? She was in prison, so the cult still went on around her. Like, at the point where you kill off this person, there's going to be less of a cult, existing around this person. They're out of the equation, therefore indoctrination definitely stops. There is no rallying point for these people. They wanted, first proposition told you that there's a global problem, it's probably bad that we have dictators. What Andrew specifically tells you is why it looks great on Western liberal democracies to take them out. First of all, because they have a debt of gratitude to us. It brings good things for our country, it brings more trade, and it brings, necessary things to us, like oil. It's going to make good alliances for the future. And secondly of all, it's more democratic for us, right? We're propagating our democratic system. It's seen that democracy is good because it's actively helping these countries, because democracy is following its principles, going in and intervening for most people, for the most good, right? We